Hi, my name is KareMyQ, and this is going to be a recording of my personal sound meditation practice. I've recorded it and I'm sharing it so that you're able to witness the real-time application of techniques that I've learned in Ben Iron's Gong School. This is not intended to be a guided meditation for you. It is more of a demonstration of what a gong meditation or sound meditation could look like for someone who is looking to either start a meditative practice that maybe sitting meditation hasn't quite worked, or maybe they've had a sitting meditation for years and they're looking to amplify or extend that practice in other ways. So first I'll start by just explaining a little bit about the techniques, sort of a little bit of a Gong 101, and then I'm going to give you a demonstration of a meditation for me, a living, breathing, tuning practice that I use for myself. The purpose here is less about showcasing a polished sequence and more about demonstrating how these tools live inside a personal meditation practice. So before I begin playing, I want to share a few details about how I prepare to interact with my gong. So this is my gong. Her name is Dark Matter. I acquired her in June 2025 from a shop up near Rutland, Vermont called Brooklyn Healing Arts. This is a gong made by Ryan Shellady, and I went to this shop and the owner there was just so heart-centered, so human, so knowledgeable, and yet so just approachable and eager to share what he knows. And he let me explore all the different gongs that he had, and this was the one that really spoke to me, spoke through me, and that's how I came to adopt her. And while I will never know the full extent of her journey, I have been deeply enjoying the part of herself that she shares while she's here with me. So to begin, I seat myself in front of my gong, try to get my heart centered with the center of the gong. I'm a little bit low, but I'm comfortable playing in this position. It works for me. Distance-wise, I kind of want to be about a handshake away from the gong, so that when I invite the conversation with a mallet, it can strike and then rebound back a little bit. Since this is a personal meditative practice, I'm not going to be really hitting the gong very hard. I also live in an apartment complex, so that's another factor that I keep in mind. But really, this is not about volume, it is about depth and finding that moment in the bloom of the sound through the decay of the sound, and that subtlety helps me find the silence within myself and integrate some different mantras that spark open for me as I'm using this practice. When you have your mallet, you want to loosely cradle it between your thumb and your forefinger. This is what's called a hinge grip. You don't want to let your thumb slide up too high. That is what my instructor kept telling us, and that is something that I found myself doing a lot. I think mostly just because the muscles in my hands weren't quite as strong yet, and so they really just wanted to get that leverage. But you want to try to keep it so that there's a soft hand, and the mallet can just bounce and rebound off of the surface of the gong. The wrist is going to stay soft, and the motion comes from the forearm with support from the shoulder if needed. And the goal is to let the mallet invite the sound from the gong. We're not trying to force it. We want every touch to be intentional, and every sound has a reason to exist. In my gong school, we talked about mapping the surface energetically in our imagination. Maybe each different zone might have a different sort of flavor or essence or quality that we want to play through as we share a sound journey with ourselves. We might imagine a compass on the surface where there's a north, a south, an east, a west. We might imagine different quadrants that might be for different things. We can imagine different concentric circles where there's an outer rim, a middle inner side, and then the center area. We never want to strike the exact center of the gong. That can be very bad for a gong. Again, we're not going to be really hitting this thing very hard, but I just wanted to share that. We always want to be off center or up here or up towards or on the rim. Each one has its own different sort of flavor and sound and tone and style. As you get to know your gong, you might find there are certain sweet spots that really just sing to you, that really just open you up in a way that maybe other areas don't. So over time, as you're getting to know your gong, you'll find those things. When most people talk about a gong, we talk about a gong strike, but Ben really encouraged us to think about it less of a strike and more of an invitation. We are inviting our gong teacher into a conversation with us so that we can learn from ourselves, we can learn from it, it can learn through us. And so if we think about inviting it versus striking it, especially for a meditation practice, that can be useful. You'll hear me alternate between different mallets. Each one has a different, he called them colors, even though he's not actually referring to the color of the mallet, but the timbre, the character of the sound that is drawn out as the different mallet types engage the surface of the gong. Softer mallets are going to create a warmer, rounder tone with less attack. Harder mallets, like this one, will bring about higher frequencies, more shimmer, more defined articulation. So I often will begin with a softer mallet for long blooming tones, and then introduce harder mallets for contrast or emphasis. Part of this journey is listening closely to how the gong responds and adapts in real time. After each invitation, I like to give a lot of space for the sound to bloom and decay. That means I'm not rushing to re-engage the gong. I listen as the sound opens, changes shape, and then eventually returns to silence. And that again returns me to silence within myself. It's in that arc from the tone to the silence that something subtle happens, not just in the air, but inside of me. Before I am inviting a sound, I try to imagine it first. This is something that Ben had called mental oral concept, having a clear sense of the sound you're aiming for even before it's made. So as I begin the meditation, I'm not just playing randomly, I'm playing from an inner sonic map that's developed over time through repetition and reflection. And finally, just wanting to say that every invitation matters. Do not throw a note away. Each tone I play is deliberate. Even if it's soft or fleeting, I want it to count, and I do that with intention. So this is not about performance. This is not about perfection. This is simply about tuning myself into a state of embodied presence. I have some other instruments around me, some sound bowls, a drum, some crystal singing bowls, so I may end up pulling some of those in. It's a little bit of intuitive sort of sense of where some sound might want to belong or show up or speak. You may be hearing some of those sounds. So we begin by just tuning into our breath, finding a very calming and deepening flow of air into our lungs, back out into the world. You can keep your eyes open, you can keep your eyes closed, you can do whatever feels comfortable. I modulate that for myself. So let's begin. I was never not safe. I was never not safe. I was never not safe. This moment is enough. This moment is enough. This moment is enough. I am not broken. There's nothing to heal. I am whole. All of me belongs here. All of me belongs here. All of me belongs here. So this is a bit of a rewiring immersion. I'm looking to demonstrate how sound creates a field of coherence. There's no need to narrate everything. You just anchor your actions in clear, energetic intention. Thank you for witnessing this practice. It's not intended to be a template or a style. It's just one iteration of what's possible when you let the gong reflect us back to ourselves. I'm super excited to keep discovering how this instrument evolves with me as I evolve, and I would love to hear what your journey is if you choose to integrate an intuitive instrument like a gong or a drum or some sound bowls into your meditation practice. Thank you, and take care.